Good morning,
Venuji,
Dada.
good morning. Good
Good
morning. Good
morning.
morning. Okay, so I think, yeah, let's start. So it's 9:01. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. Today is SMS. So as you all know, we are continuing with the journey of refunds, which is one of the critical things in GST. Because apart from assessment, adjudication, appeals, I think the other core area of GST where we are all making roadways is refunds. Refund in terms of getting the refund, in terms of refund litigation. So today we have Gurjit Bhullar sir with us once again, who has volunteered to share with us this further journey. So Venuji first for a few words and then over to Gurjit sir. Venuji, over to you.
I would only say the learning is continuing, and anyhow, I am there for the vote of thanks. We will not spend more time on this, and we all know Gurujit sir, so this would be an excellent session to start.
Yes. Over to you, sir. Gurjit sir, over to you.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Arupta. Yes. So, good morning, all friends, all members of the SMS and our esteemed group. So, courtesy is always extended in the group. Arupta again said that I volunteered, but I was requested to do. I thought we are covering sections. The sections have been covered. So, the request was that we can have one session just for the rules also, so that a rounded off discussion on refunds is completed. But I happily agreed to request. So that is why the courtesy of being volunteered is being extended to me. Thank you. So section related to refund we had discussed earlier. Today we are on to the rules. Rules by themselves, if we start discussing one by one, they are quite a large contingent to be discussed in one day. So I've just tried to focus in today's this SMS only about the zero rated supply of services. That could be with payment or without payment of taxes. But nevertheless, before going ahead with that, we know Rule 89 is sub rule 1 is regarding the application to be made. Okay, this includes that RFD 01 has to be made, except by persons who are covered under Section 55, including the cash ledger balance. Then it is said that supplies to SCZ, the application will be either by the supplier or refund. Then it also talks about the refund and supplies which are regarded as deemed exports, where the recipient as well the supplier can take. So, authorized officer for SCZ regarding authorized operations. Then 1A was inserted, 1 capital A regarding Section 77, that when is it held to be the supply, which is subsequently held to be an interstate supply or vice versa. So in CGST rules, it's about that. There was when this rule was inserted, the relevant period of 2 years from what time. Then Rule 1B is inserted very recently. This is for refund of additional integrated tax, which is paid on account of upward revision of price of goods subsequent to exports. And subsection 2 talks about the application having annexures. So here, many times, just one line I'd like to say here is that many times as users, practical users of the GST portal and otherwise being practitioners, we think that portal has divided into various categories, etc. So it is basically flows from the, or we refer to the CBIC circular 125 being the master circular. Earlier, there were earlier circular which were detailing types of refunds or categories of refunds. The category of refund and types flow from this sub rule 2 and various kind of statements, etc., which are to be attached with the different kinds of refunds. So everything flows from there. Say, like I just mentioned, 1B, any upward revision, any person claiming refund of any upward revision in price of export of goods. Since this is a recent insertion, this rule has been inserted. There is a statement also, BB. and in clause BC regarding this. So that becomes a new category. And a simultaneous circular was issued that till the time portal develops this as a category of separate kind of refunds, uh, it should be application should be made in the any other category. Similarly, export of electricity was also a later insertment and now on the portal that is available. So all these are the documents which are to be accompanying the RFD01 or as an annexure. And in the last subsections, sub rules, it is about the clauses in the sub rules is about the declarations, etc. So sub rule 3 only talks about that where the credit ledger has been debited in case of refund of input tax credit. Sometimes we do not focus on the rules. So इस कैटेगरी में लेजर ब्लॉक होगा, डेबिट होगा, बाद में रिक्रेडिट होगा, नहीं होगा. It is simply stated here. It is just a two-line sub rule where the applications relates to refund of input tax credit. The credit ledger shall be debited. And similarly for cash ledger refund also, but for that is one single type. But for all other multiple types, the credit ledger has to be debited only where the refund relates to input tax credit. If we keep this in mind, a lot of clarity we will have. Sub rule 4 is giving the formula for calculating the refund amount and the meanings of different terms used herein. Here it is that we will try to focus today on the turnover of zero rated supply of services. That is the focus here. And going forward, 89.5 is about the inverted tax formula. Then 90 is about RFD02, RFD03, how that is to be done. So provisional refund, recent change in that the provisional refund is now to be granted based on the identification and evaluation of risk. We talked about the provisional refund for inverted tax when we were discussing sections, so that is also mentioned. Then it also talks about the payment through RFD05. 92 talks about order sanctioning refund. This is about various procedures. It also talks about that where the refund is on account of any amount paid as tax, other than for zero rated or deemed export. So if it is a refund which relates to payment of tax, I want the refund of the taxes paid, except the zero rated and as a supplier of deemed exports, then depending on whether I paid originally the tax through cash ledger or credit ledger, a refund may be granted proportionately by PMT03 recrediting the credit ledger. Then this is about withholding the refunds and show cause notice. It is in sub rule 3 here. I'm just skipping through these rules very quickly. A credit of the amount of rejected refund, how it should be recredited if it was debited earlier, again through PMT03. Order sanctioning delayed refunds. Sometimes we do discuss that my refund was delayed beyond 60 days. So how should I get a refund of that? If we focus on the rule says that in the refund sanctioning order, there is nothing about interest to be paid on delayed refund. It is the RFD05 in which the refund processing officer should specify the refund which is delayed, the period of delay, and the interest payable. And while disbursing the refund sanctioned as per RFD06, they should be doing this. Yes, many a times the officers are not doing this. But how do we get that eligibility to have the interest that we get from section 56? But the process is that it should be in RFD05. Then the details about that. Refund of tax to certain persons. This is about UIN, the UN bodies, etc. For them, the application is RFD 10 and 11. Certain procedures related to that. 95A, that has been dropped. That was for retail outlets in the, say, which we call normally duty-free shops. So this has been dropped. There is nothing mentioned in the rules, etc. anywhere. It was just the press release after that said council meeting which said that such duty-free shops can apply for refund as an export of goods. But there is nothing in rules specifically or anywhere that how that refund should be granted. This is about canteen store departments. They have to be in RFD 10A. Then refund of integrated tax, the IGST paid on goods or services. Interestingly, here when for the first time these rules came, the tax paid on export of services was not mentioned here in the heading or in the details. So that was corrected later. So these are related to that. Then the export of
Gurujit
goods
sir,
or services. Yes, sir.
before we move to the next one small clarification.
Yes, sir.
Let's say we have paid the pre-deposit in electronic credit ledger,
Yeah.
DRC03. Upon
Mhm.
winning of the appeal, can the officer reject, saying that, okay, I will not refund the cash, I will
Okay.
debit back, I will credit back into credit ledger?
I'll credit back to the credit ledger. The specific sub rule which is there, this is talking only about for the taxes paid.
Correct.
It is as per the specific rule. If we go specifically into that and stick to the language here, then it is only about the. I'm just scrolling back there
Yeah.
to that sub rule. Yeah, this is it. This is just mentioning 92, Rule 92, Sub Rule 1, capital A. So it
Right.
only talks about the any amount of tax paid as tax other than refund of tax. So whether that pre-deposit or the qualifying amount, is it a deposit of tax paid? So that will be the thing which needs to be deciphered at that point of time. Is it regarding that, or is it regarding mm, some liability paid otherwise? So
So,
this deciphering of it will remain on this. A strict, just literal reading does not intend towards that. But whether it is a tax paid once it is a liability, uh, but then tax paid, it is only talking about tax. Does it include any other amount, interest, penalty, etc.? All that are within the tax, etc. So there will be many subflows within that question,
yeah,
sir.
see, the other amounts definitely we will only pay by cash. The portal
Yeah,
doesn't permit but
right.
the tax amount,
Exactly.
I can pay this. Now, my only wondering is, can the officer reject, saying that, okay, fine, your appeal is allowed, I will refund, but I'll not refund the cash to you, I'll only credit back to credit ledger.
Yeah, it is not a rejection as such, but sir, yeah, you're right that he will not be paying through or disbursing it in the bank, but going through the PMT-03 route, saying that it was the payment of that tax. But like I said, the literal meaning it restricts that. But if we go by the logic and the spirit behind that, that is that the balances which are there in credit ledger should not be converted into cash by the taxpayers by adopting any such routes, which was happening otherwise before this.
Yeah, but
Uh,
here it is not like an intentional. There would be a situations where
yes,
business
right,
is
right.
closed down, and
I'm
we
just
really don't
giving
know.
the different aspects of it, sir, how it is to be dealt and this,
Yeah.
so which have
Okay.
to be considered. So maybe I'll take this up in the group discussion later in our group
Yeah.
itself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, any
Yeah.
such other points, any other colleague also, just please do raise and mention. So we will take that up as separate discussions in the group. So I was into about the LUT thing. So LUT is an undertaking to be submitted by a person giving an undertaking that the sense here is that person is being allowed to export without payment of taxes. Let's say it is not actually an export, then person should have paid the taxes. So are they manipulating or gaming the system? Then there are certain timelines that within this, if the export does not happen, you'll have to pay the tax which was on that supply, which was tax payable. This is what the undertaking is for. And there are certain other details here. One more thing is that, say, when we talk about refund of export of goods with payment of tax, we know customs processes it. When we talk about refund of ITC, in case of export of goods, and we give the detail of invoices of export of goods in our statement as an annexure to the refund application, even those invoices get verified by the ICE gate whether the export has actually happened based on the invoice details, shipping details, etc., as available in GSTR1, forwarded by the GSTN portal to the ICE gate portal, and the validation comes back. If you see this rule, sub rule 2 here, it says that the details of export invoices contained in GSTR1, including 1A, furnished on the common portal shall be electronically transmitted to the system designated by system. This second part, we know about with payment of taxes. It does not distinguish here between with payment and without payment. It just says that a confirmation that the goods covered by the said invoices have been exported out of India shall be electronically transmitted to the common portal by the said system. That IceGate will reconfirm back to the GSTN portal whether actually those goods have been exported or not. So what is happening is that when we are filing that statement as an annexure to the RFD01 for refund of ITC on export of goods, the entire data at that point of submission goes to the IceGate, and IceGate confirms back immediately whether it is validated at their end that the goods have been exported out of India. And that data is available to the officers. Against each line item of invoice, they can see whether the validation has been received or it is still pending. So it is there in the rules itself, but these are kind of the rules sometimes we do not focus on. We do not spend our time on that, or we are not aware, or we don't give the time. Yeah. So recovery of refund of unutilized ITC or integrated tax paid on export of goods where export proceeds not realized. I'll come to this point a little later. The other sections I'm not talking about. 96C. This rule is already inserted, but it is not yet notified. It may come into maybe made effective at any point of time. But this is in a sense quite strict, that the refund will flow only to the bank account which is in the name of the applicant and obtained on the same PAN number. So this is not yet made effective, but yes, sometimes the officers, they are asking for this. Now just permit me to go back to the, like I said, we'll focus on the 89.4 and specifically on the turnover of zero rated supply of services. I'm a little intrigued by discussions whenever we have with many exporters of services, or say our colleagues in the profession, etc. I just want to know from you all also that 89.4 says that the zero rated supply of goods or services without under bond of undertaking. Here it says after the formula, the D, capital D part says that turnover of zero rated supply of services means this zero rated supply made, just forget this part, but it has to be calculated in the following manner. Are we calculating in this manner, or are the officers insisting that it should be calculated in this manner? So what is the manner? It is zero rated of supply. What is it? It is the aggregate of payments received. It is not talking about the invoices. It says first, what are the payments received during the relevant period for zero rated supply of services? And also zero rated of supply where supply completed now for which payment was received in advance in some earlier periods. It has to be reduced by advances received for zero rated of supply of services where supply of services has not yet been completed. So are we calculating in this manner? Just a quick yes, no, if some participants can share. Or are the officers asking for this? There are three questions here. Are we doing this? Can it be done practically? Are the officers objecting? How to do it? So this is a little I wish to delve into this. So can I have some responses? Are we doing this, or are the officers asking for this? Can anyone just say?
But officers are not asking specifically on this.
And normally we are going by whatever is on books of accounts. Huh?
Yeah, practically wherever we have applied, we have not seen specifically department raising
Right.
this.
Right. So I'm not just taking some data here. I have constructed this data. Let's say there is domestic supply of services in May. This amounts to this much amount, 2,50,000. Export of services in the previous month was 5 lakh. I'm going to apply for a refund of export of services, and it is to be calculated as per 89.4, since it is a refund of ITC. Export of services in May, in the period for which refund is being applied, is 6 lakhs as per my books. So this is the three basic details that, so in May, the total supply of services would be 6 lakh plus 2,50,000, 8,50,000. Now, zero rated supply of services in May, or I'll just go first by this. No, let's first stick to the data itself. So now this is zero rated supply of services in May and payments received during May itself. That is 4,50,000. Services exported in May for which payment was received in April. So we are not going into time of supply of services. We are just saying that the invoices which I am raising are within the time of supply, and when my services get supplied, immediately or within a day or two, I do raise invoices. So there is no issue regarding that, no crossover from one month to another month. So this 6 lakh comprises of these two amounts. These were the services which were rendered in May itself and payments also received in May. These are the services for which invoices were received now, raised now, but the payment was received in April. There are some where payments received during May, but invoices were raised in April. And this is the advance received in May, or the payment received in May for which the services have not been rendered so far. With this data, normally, which I feel that we take this amount and we enter that in the statement, the invoices as per this, and we go ahead. Now, let's say the same definition which we were having, or the meaning, it's not strictly speaking a definition. So this is it. If I break it down, like I said earlier, it is saying the aggregate of payments received during the relevant period. Payments received during the relevant period for zero rated supply, and adding to that zero rated of supply of services where supply has been completed for which payment was received in advance. And this has to be reduced. Advances received, say it says reduced by advances received. So that is the third line here. The first two lines are this, aggregate of services. Now, if I try to calculate through this method, payment received during relevant period is May, payment received during May for zero rated supplies. If I scroll through this, okay, 4,50,000 would be here, 4.5. Then any other payment received in May. For this, the payment was received earlier. Payment received during May, another 2 lakh. Okay. This about payment received during May, 2 lakh, advances received in May. Here it is not talking, it is just saying payments received for zero rated supply. So this 1 lakh is also a payment received. So these three figures are coming in. Now, zero rated supply of services where supply has been completed for which payment had been received in advance. So payment was received in April. Supply completed now. So this 1.5 comes here. So this the aggregate of this. So these three becomes 4 and 2, 6 and 7, 7.5. And this is 1.5. And advances is 1 lakh added earlier. Now we are going to reduce it. So it becomes 8 lakhs here. If I say this is -1, it will become 8 lakh. So is my zero rated supply of services as per this Is it 8 lakhs? Is it 6 lakhs? Is it possible for me to declare like this? Are the officers objecting to this if we are not doing this? So right now, the response I've received from Anupama ma'am is that we are going like this. That is what is normally I also feel that most of the persons are doing. Is there any case where someone is calculating like this as per the meaning given in 89.4? You can just again share. We'll just have those thoughts here whether we are doing this or not. We'll come back here to this part a little later. So if any one of the persons, if you have been ever dealing with export of services, or let us say even if you're not dealing, if so far you don't have any client where you have to deal with export of services, but reading the rules and otherwise, what is your opinion? Some quick responses, please. So
That's
again, we don't. Yes,
follow.
sir.
So
Yes.
I'll be able to answer.
So should I move on then? Okay, we'll move on.
Yes, sir.
Assuming that it is not being done. Yes, someone is saying something. Is it an audio issue at my end? I don't have anything in the chat box also. Okay, we are moving at the other
Okay.
aspect.
Nothing in chat box.
Sir, only one aspect here, sir.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
the numerator and denominator will be same, because if we read that adjusted total turnover, even it says whatever the turnover you have calculated in D, that will be taken as your total turnover. So if I take 6 by 6 or 8 by 8,
Yeah.
I think it should not affect the refund computation, right, sir? Can we
I'll
look
just
that? Because
yeah,
because
I'll just
all
go
are
back to
taken.
that.
Yeah. Yes,
So
sir.
what the rule says, okay, we'll go back to the rule also.
Huh.
So even in adjusted total turnover, there is a
Huh.
slight change where it may affect. I'm just
Okay.
scrolling back because I've not copied down the adjusted total turnover here, but since you've raised it, I'm just scrolling back there. So adjusted total turnover here means the turnover in a state or union territory. So turnover and what is to be added? Turnover of zero rated supplies as per clause D and non-zero rated supply of services. Then from this, the exempt supplies other than zero rated have to be reduced. So if I come back to this chart, I'd mentioned here that domestic supply of services is this. So if I calculate according to this, it will be 6 lakh, the normal way we are calculating. So my total turnover, if I'm just say doing all this I'm doing, so it will be my books export of services like this and domestic supply of services 8 lakh 50,000. If I calculate in this manner, it is 8 lakh this much and 2 lakh 50,000 10 lakh 50,000. So it will be 8 divided by 10 lakh 50,000. And in the normal case, we are dividing 6 lakh divided by 8.5. So there will be slight variation here also, ma'am.
Okay. Because I
So
was
that is
saying
what I adjust. It
6
is
by
saying
6.
the
Yeah.
turnover of zero rated supply determined in terms of clause D
Yeah,
and
I'm just
non-zero rated.
talking, non-zero rated remain the same, and only the zero rated, what we are taking in numerator, denominator
Yes.
will remain the same. So that's why I think the refund computation should not affect. That was my aspect, but I agree
If
that
there,
8 by
yeah,
10.5 will be affect. Yeah.
it will affect if there is this. If there is no domestic supply, then it may not affect. You know? Let us say out of this 1.25 is an exempt supply of services, then that will also have to be
Yeah,
reduced
that
and it
will
will
get anyway
some
excluded.
minor
That is
variations, changes it will lead to. But this
okay.
aspect I'm carrying forward here
Okay.
in a different manner. We are trying to see this.
Okay.
Now it is about the refund application for export of services, and this time the situation is with payment of taxes. So for many types of refund applications, the refund application is periodic refund application, that what is the relevant period. It is to be filed chronologically. We have to do it serial wise. If there are any gaps where the refund is not eligible, we have to file a nil refund application. Okay, we agree with this. Then let us focus on the definition of export of services as given in the IGST Act, the definitions section. We are aware of the definition that supplier is in India, recipient is outside India, place of supply is outside India. The payment has been received in foreign exchange. So I'm just focusing on this, the clause 4, not on 5, the merely establishments of they are not merely establishments of a distinct person. So in this definition of export of services, the payment for such services must have been realized. So definition says that the export of services will happen only if the payment is received in foreign currency. In foreign currency. If the payment is not received, so does it mean that the question arises that for filing my refund application on account of export of services in case of with payment of tax, should the application be filed when invoice is raised? Or should it be filed when BRC or FIRC, that means the foreign exchange has come in and there is a BRC in my hand? When should it be filed? Expanding this a little further, should the applicant wait to file refund application for a period till the time BRCs is realized for all the service export invoices related to a particular period? He may miss certain invoices in the next refund application. Is that the earlier period invoices are being allowed? ITC, etc. will know, it will pick up from there itself, from the 3B for that period. So, but this time ITC will not be there in case of with payment of taxes. We are just talking about with payment of taxes. Let's not mix at this point of time our thoughts with refund of ITC. So for with payment of taxes, when should it be done?
So the condition of receipt has to be proved, and I need to hold the invoice till the receipt happens.
Till the receipt happens. I'll just share one judgment with you all. It's not a very big judgment. We can quickly go through this. This was the Bombay High Court. A writ petition was by Vodafone India. So what did it is just a very small judgment. So petitioners, that is Vodafone, challenged 4 orders passed by Commissioner Appeals. So all those are there. This also paragraph is there that they also made the GSTN party, and they have challenged the portal design being defective in as much as it does not permit a second refund claim for the same period under the same category. So this was their objection regarding the portal. We know that for the same period, same cause of refund, same type of refund, we cannot apply again. But what is the otherwise? So the Vodafone Council, Learned Council, said that the impugned orders are contrary to earlier orders passed by the appellate authority. What had happened here was that Vodafone had been claiming refund for export of services, and earlier the appellate authority had passed certain orders allowing that refund. And Vodafone claimed that those orders have become final since Commissioner Appeals allowed that refund, the department had not filed again. Petitioners also say that even the adjudicating authority has passed favorable orders in some this, all of which become a final, since the adjudicating authority itself allowed, the petitioners did not challenge it with the appellate authority. So this has been happening. But still there were some orders which were rejected, some refund applications which were rejected by some adjudicating officer. They went for the appeals, and the appellate authority has now rejected that. So there are certain orders which have been asked certain applications which have been approved by the adjudicating authority, certain applications which were rejected by the approving authority but approved by the appellate authority, and certain applications which were rejected by the adjudicating authority as well as the appellate authority. And for such applications, this writ was filed. Now, what was the reason for rejecting the refunds in these challenged orders? There were three reasons stated. There was no correlation of invoices and the amount of foreign currency received. No BRC had been filed. Bank statement showing netting off as payment received in convertible foreign exchange appears not a valid proof. Third, the date of payment received in foreign currency is not within the return period. We'll focus on this for now. So, refund officer, adjudicating authority, rejected those applications. One of the reasons was the date of payment received in foreign currency is not within the refund period. It's not talking that the payment was not received till the time of filing the refund application. They are saying it was not within the refund period. So in the example we gave, though that was export of services, we took as an example for calculation of that. But remember, that calculation is only for refund of ITC. That zero rated supply of services calculation is not applicable for this. The rule is only for the refund of ITC. For refund of tax paid on export of services, there is no such calculation or formula which is being prescribed. So here the only thing is they're saying that in the relevant period it was not there. Now what did the revenue say? The revenue said that he stated that he has received the instructions. So what are the instructions given by the department to their standing counsel there? That the orders of the fifth respondent is the appellate authority that can be set aside and remanded back to the same appellate authority for adjudication of appeals by following principles of natural justice. So even department was conceding that let they be remanded back and it should be decided by the appellate authority since that was the situation. Now Vodafone further submits that as per GST provisions, even if the appellate authority now allows the appeals, the petitioner would have to file refund claims once again. They, however, apprehend that the GSTN portal would not permit them to do so. So here, this again, and clarity understanding is not widespread, and sometimes even courts, I don't know how the GSTN is represented there or the councils representing the state, though here it is said the GSTN was also a party. If the appellate authority now decides the appeal and grants the refund, should there be a separate application? No, it will just be a refund granted. And it will be a refund application would have to be filed as a refund for orders against appeal. That is a separate category. It will not have to be filed for the same export of services for the same period. But this is what the learned counsel for Vodafone said there. They had made that party also. But otherwise, this is just for the knowledge part. So what the court did, they directed, so they remanded it back and asked the appellate authority to pass appropriate orders within the judicial discipline, within 2 months giving the timeline. If portal does not filing the refund under the category of export of services, they may be filed under the category of others. And the issue related to challenge to the GST portal is kept open. So this was the directions of the Honorable High Court in this. So main thing is that I think we understand the crux that if the dispute is that in that period, the foreign currency is not received, that was the basis on which the adjudicating authority denied the refund, one of the grounds, and the appellate authority upheld that. And this judgment, this is February 5, 2025. I'll take you back to my presentation here again. We were discussing this part. So There is a change in the portal for filing the application for refund in case of export of services with payment of tax. Quite a few months have passed. I hope some of us would be aware, but let's have the discussion on this. So, right now, currently, if an application for refund has to be filed on account of export of services with payment of tax, the chronological order is no longer required. It does not ask for what period the refund is being applied for. Earlier, it was there. From period and to period, those two fields were coming in, they have been removed. There is so, since this is there, so there is no requirement to file nil applications. So what is happening? Single refund application can include invoices of various periods. So what does this mean? This enables that as soon as the foreign currency is received for any number of invoices, I as an exporter of services doing exports with payment of taxes can just wait for realization of my exports, and whenever it happens, I can file for a refund application. Maybe a single invoice, maybe a multiple invoices belonging to different periods, no relation to the period in which my 3B, etc. was filed. So that is what currently has now changed on the portal. The reason I believe you have understood that the definition of exports is payment has been received, and we were talking in this slide, this is the practice which we were adopting. And there, one adjudicating authority decided that since the payment is not received in that period, the refunds denied, appellate authority also denied, it went up to the High Court. I can't say that this is the reason why changes have been made, that judgment, but the changes have been made. So any invoice which is once included in a refund application is locked to prevent its use in any other refund application. In any other refund application does not here mean only the same category export of services with payment of tax, but in any other type of refund also. Since there can be a one single payment received from multiple invoices, the same BRC number can be mentioned against multiple invoices. That is what the portal utility, which is there, statement 2, which shows now. The condition is that before submitting the application, GSTR 3B must be filed. Which GSTR 3B? Which were due to be filed till the date of filing the application. So today is 21st February. Due date, say, for me was 20th February. I should have filed the GSTR 3B, which is due till 20th February. That means the January 3B, if I'm going to file an application for refund under this category. But there is one more thing. 3B must be filed even for the period related to the dates of invoices included in the application. So what does this mean? I just said that today I'm going to file an application. Let us say on 15th February, I was going to file an application for a refund of export of services with payment of tax, wherein I was including an invoice of January month, because I have received payment for that. I have raised the invoice, all the conditions which are there in the definition of export of services, they are being satisfied. So as per this, all this, I can mention that invoice in the application being made there. Even this is being satisfied. On 15th February, GSTR 3B was due only till the month of December. But since now I'm including January's invoice on 15th February, then I must file first the January's 3B and then file for the refund application. This is the change which has happened. I just, beyond the rules, I went into this just to spread it out that whether we are aware of all this or not. Whether we are aware
Sujit,
of
sir.
all this. Yes, sir.
So now, only for export of services with payment, when we are doing it, the numerator and denominator has no connection with the actual refund period.
Are we talking about refund for with payment of taxes?
With payment, I am saying for
with
services.
Payment of taxes, there is no formula, sir. There is no denominator, etc. We don't need to go into all that. That
Services.
rule is only for. There earlier also there was no formula for that. Now also there is no formula. That 89.4 applies is applicable only in cases of refund of ITC.
Oh,
Okay, so there is no question of there being a denominator, numerator, etc. That was not
correct.
there earlier also, still it is
Earlier
there.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
So for without payment, when I
That
get
means
the
that when we were in this situation, normally we used to wait that if I'm going to file a refund application of export of services with payment of taxes, say I have to file for any particular, I'll stick to that May 2025, let us say. So why I
right,
have waited till now? Because there, let us say there were 10 export invoices. I'd received the payment of 9 invoices, but one payment I had not received. So I was
right.
not meeting the condition there. My application would have been denied by the officer just on the basis that export has not yet happened. There is no LUT here. No? I have to make that exports with payment of taxes. LUT is also again only for refund of ITC. So here the officer will go by the definition of export of services. If those conditions are not being met for any transaction, they will reject my refund. So that is why I was waiting, because let's say in here my 10 lakh was the IGST paid in the month of May. I've received 9 lakh worth of payments, the equivalent payments. One single invoice where IGST is 1 lakh. I have not received that payment. I have received that payment today. So I'm filing a application for refund for this category for the month of May 2025 now. That is what we were waiting for. But now, as per the updated system, we don't need to wait for that. Whenever my payment is realized for any invoice, it is totally my discretion. If I find, say, for each payment, I file a separate application. For at end of every month, I file a refund application for all the payments received during that month. There is no relation with any period, no chronological order, rather, and for the invoices or for the refund period. And the crux was this, that that industry and trade were saying that due to this we are getting limited. The purpose of government is to keep the cash flow happening for the exporters. Now the benefit of doing with payment of tax has to be evaluated by all of us when we advise our clients whether they should still go for the refund of ITC for export of services, or should we suggest them to go for with payment of tax, and as soon as they realize the payment they can go ahead and file a refund application. So that needs to be evaluated again now.
Generally, we suggest with payment when the capital goods related accumulation happens.
Right. Since that is not allowed otherwise, so that ITC gets utilized in payment and we get the refund. So it has to be now re-evaluated in the updated circumstances again. What is the scenario for that person? How quickly or how fast they are receiving payments? If the payment sometimes gets stuck for any invoice, should they wait for all other invoices also? That was required earlier, but now that is not required. Earlier it was, say, if for any period, if I had to do, I had to wait out till for that period all the invoices have been realized. Now I don't have to. So here 2 or 3 distinct things come in. One is that the rule 89.4 is only about that, the zero rated supply of services, how that is to be evaluated. Only in this case, that is not applicable to with payment of taxes. With payment of taxes, this subtle shift has happened. I think it happened about 7 or 8 months ago. This change, the only thing is that these things do not get widely publicized across the taxpayers, across the fraternity. That has happened. But now again, I'll take you all back here. If the definition of export of services says that services export happens only if the payment is realized, and this is in a way formula, it is based on payments received only. So what does it say? It says payments received for zero rated supply. If payment was received in earlier, but now the supply has happened. So that means the condition without the supply, even if the payment is received, of course, refund cannot be granted. So that has also to be added. And if payment has been received in advance, that has to be reduced. So this is based on that definition. But again, is it practically, number one, to my knowledge, it is not being done widely. Are the officers objecting to that? Again, most of the feedback I get is no. Maybe they are not aware of it. Maybe they don't apply their minds. Or again, the most crucial question is, even if we start doing this, one is it will involve many calculations. Second, is it practically possible? Same challenges that for one period, I have to apply for refund of ITC. But here now what the question is, if we go back to the formula or the rules which is there, if I go back to the rules there, another important part here is that what does it say? It says that in case of zero rated supply of goods or services, the refund of ITC shall be granted as per the formula. And this is the formula. And they are describing each elements of this, A, B, C, D, what is refund amount, what is net amount, what is turnover of zero rated supply of goods, what is turnover of zero rated supply of services, adjusted total turnover, relevant period. So this application, as per the rules, has to be for a relevant period. Here, the changes cannot be made by the portal going beyond the relevant period. The rules say that this application is for a relevant period. That is within this, that it has to be for a relevant period. The ITC involved should be for the ITC on inputs and input services during the relevant period. And even if we go for services, what does it say? Does it mention anything relevant period here? Let's try to focus here again. Value of supplies made without payment of tax under bond or letter of undertaking, payments received during any period prior to the relevant period. So this is about relevant period, but is it practically now possible to calculate it like this, given the challenges which are there in the statement which is prescribed? I'll share both the statements again. First, we will talk about, we will see the statement, which is the now current statement, which is the statement 2. This is for export of services with payment of tax. So you can see in this statement, all those fields for period, etc. have gone. It is only the documented details where it is invoice, debit note, credit note, those details, the values, the tax involved, and BRC, FIRC. I don't know why cess is mentioned here. On services, there is no cess as of now. It wasn't earlier also. But this is the statement. Cess column was there earlier also. So that all that has gone. But if we compare with this statement 3 for 89.2b, 89.2c, what is 89.2b? I just said that the categories of refund are derived from the sub rule 2. So 89 sub rule 2, B and C. For those, this statement is required. So what are those 89.2 B and C? 89(2)(b), a statement containing the number and date of shipping bills or bills of export and the number and date of relevant export invoices in a case where the refund is on account of export of goods. It is other than electricity, that is a separate statement has been made for that. So this, and what is 89(2)(c)? 89(2)(c) is regarding a statement containing the number and date of invoices and the relevant bank realization certificate, as the case may be on account of export of services. 89(2)(b), 89(2)(c), export of goods and services. So it is for goods as well as services, a common statement has been prescribed. Another thing we should always keep in mind that the prescribed notified forms, in my view, also are part of the rules themselves. It does not necessarily is required that whatever is mentioned in the forms should be specified in the rule itself. The form in itself is a part of the rules. That is my view. So it is a common form for export of goods and services. So for goods shipping bill, and for this other details. And unlike inverted tax, there is no detail of inward supplies required. So AGM details would be required for export. That meets the condition there. Here also the earlier law regime practitioners, exporters, as well as consultants were wondering that as per GST law, it is the export manifest or the export general manifest or whatever is there, that is the proof of export of goods. If we talk it to the earlier regime, in the excise regime, etc., what were they used to say, someone would say shipping bill, many would say let export order, the LEO. But here again, for us, the rules are saying specifically, I can show you the rules that it is only the EGM, etc., which is the proof for export. But let's come back to the services part. So this 89(4) is only about export in case of this export of services without payment of tax. And here, as per the formula given, it has to be calculated in this manner. It has to be calculated in this manner. But is it practically possible? Practically, we have found that many few are doing. As per the statements prescribed, otherwise, etc., is it practically possible to implement this? Now there's one more query arises here. That, yes, the way we are doing it practically, like say, going back to the Excel sheet, which was this one. If we are just saying that, yes, export of services in May, this is this, and I'm filing my refund application, say, assuming that entire my export of services is without payment of taxes. So I'm writing using in my formula this 6 lakh amount. That is what my statement 3 also contains. This is about that. So if payment is not realized, is a letter of undertaking for the payment being realized or payment not being realized? Letter of undertaking, we just saw the rule earlier. I briefly focused on that, lingered on there for a few minutes. That is only for payment of taxes if payment is not realized. So if payment is not realized, I have made supplies under LUT. If payment is not realized, I am bound to pay to the government the taxes due on such supplies as if it were a domestic supply. They were in a manner, though it is not specifically mentioned, but that is what it is. The tax applicable on that service has to be paid to the government. That is what the letter of undertaking is about. For goods as well as services. If we focus on services, that is it. Here, the export of services is established only when payment is received. If we change track slightly and talk about export of goods under LUT, yes, there the condition for LUT is that if goods are not exported, there the export means that they should move out of India. If they do not move out of India, then I am liable to pay the taxes. And there a later rule was also inserted, whereby it was said that even if the payment is not realized, I'll have to pay back. That rule was inserted later. Yeah, 96B. Recovery of
Sir,
refund
it
of
is 10
unutilized.
o'clock, just a reminder.
Yes, sir. This was my last mentioning here.
Yes, yes.
So time is over. Any queries, etc. Any food for that? Except what Venu sir you said about that
Yeah.
appeal order, etc. I'll check that out and I'll come out with some response on our SMS on
Right.
our main group here, WhatsApp group.
Yes, sir.
Sir, one question, one issue we had recently where they have made the exports and they are going to realize that amount, but they have exported without LUT. So, what can be like? Can I take it as a procedural ground, sir? Because anyway, they are going to realize that amount and they are going to fulfill all the condition of exports of services, but they have forgotten to issue the LUT for this 1 year. Though earlier they were issuing LUT, but for 1 year they have missed out and
Yes, they can
still they-
file now whenever they can file. If their portal is not allowing, they can file it physically, and it will be allowed as a procedural lapse.
Okay.
Though there was
Yeah,
earlier a circulars regarding this,
yeah,
but that were for
yeah.
a specified
Initial
earlier
period.
period, but that
Yeah,
same would
initial
be
period.
applicable. We can
Yeah,
take that ground. It should be
challenge.
allowed
Okay. As long as the amount is realized.
as soon as long as the foreign currency has
Yeah,
been
yeah,
realized.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So thank you everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Bullard sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Yes. Yeah, over to Venu.
Yeah, okay. So, Gurjit sir, the speciality of yours is like you always take it with the simplicity. And for sure, I myself, I was not aware of change in the procedure on the portal. Given that the team is doing, it's my job also. I have to keep tracking of these changes. But thank you so much for bringing that fine nitty-gritties. And I'm sure anything given to you, you always look with the precision. Thank you so much for addressing in the SMS. And Arupji, final words.
As usual, I think that's what I think we learned a lot. And as you rightly said, this is, I think, a takeaway that there is no chronological order in which we have to file this application for export of services with payment of tax. So, as always, we are taking back a lot of things from SMS. So, let's all share in the thing in the SMS by being a speaker. Please do come forward to and take up any section because now we'll again get back to the other section.
Arupta
So,
and Venu sir and other friends also who are still there. So, sir, this change has not happened only for export of services with payment of tax, this removal of chronological order. It has
okay, sir.
happened for with payment of tax in case of SEZ also and few other cases. If we will see on the portal now, the chronological order is applicable only for four kinds of refund applications. Say that is refund of ITC for exports, for SEZ, uh, for export of electricity, and the last one is the CSD canteens. For all others, it has
Okay.
been removed. But still, since today I was focusing only on export of services, that
Acha.
nuance between the formula given and the with payment and without payment. So I just mentioned that, but just bringing to your knowledge that we should revisit our portal. Like Venu sir was saying, even if our teams keep
Yes,
on
yes.
doing that, we should recheck wherever it is applicable, where it is not.
Right. So thank you everyone, and let's again meet on next Saturday. Looking forward to the next SMS. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Arupta, next
Yes.
Saturday, can we postpone because of the CGPI RRC?
Oh yes. Right. So yeah, next Saturday we'll not have the SMS and we'll
Yeah,
have
because
it.
many of us would be in the RRC.
And we'll be meeting live. So we'll have
Yeah.
a live SMS.
That's
Okay.
right. Okay.
Yes, right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
the
much.
opportunity. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone, for
thank you, sir.
patience
Thank
and
you.
listening.
Yeah.